Well, good morning. It is 10 a.m. It is what is this, Sarah? The second Thursday of the month. That means it's our Citizens Academy. And thank you for being with us today. And we do record these and then broadcast those on our YouTube channel. And I know a lot of people pick up on those when they have an opportunity a little bit later. And I see Mark has joined us this morning too. Mark, thanks for joining us. Great to see you and have you with us.
Morning, Doug.
Good morning. So today's topic, and Mark, I don't know if you have any questions before we get started. I'll yield to you for a quick second here. We're going to talk about communication today a little bit, but yeah, I don't know if you have any specific questions for us today.
I don't. I have been meaning to try to get into one of these for such a long period of time to see what they were about instead of just watching them on YouTube.
Sure.
So the calendar opened up, so I thought I'd stop in.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us. So super happy to be able to talk to everybody about communication today. And I've got Sarah Reynolds from our office here to talk to us about communication today and some of the things that we do. This is our final Citizens Academy for the year, and we're kind of wrapping these up. We've had relatively light participation, I would say, during the actual meetings, but people do tend to watch them a little bit later in the YouTube, as Mark was saying, and try to catch up on some different things that are going on from time to time. But one of the things that we really focus on is trying to communicate with our residents as much as possible, and in a variety of different ways. And a lot of that is through our website and our social media aspects. And Sarah Reynolds from my office is actually the brains behind all that. And she's the one that keeps all that going and helps put all that together and keep those things moving. And Sarah, first of all, thank you. Can't possibly thank you enough for all that you do for communicating with our residents and our boards and our committees and helping to put that information together and sharing all that information. I was hoping that we could spend a little bit of time here today just kind of talking about some of these channels and reminding people as we're approaching the holidays and the start of a new year, just kind of talk about kind of the ways that they can get involved with the town of Canandaigua, ways they can communicate, ways they can stay up to date on things that are going on. And maybe we could start with the website, a good place to kind of start, and then kind of go through some different things there from there. So, Sarah,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. So I wear a lot of hats with the town of Canandaigua, but one of the things, as Doug mentioned, is I get to try and share news and information with all of our residents. And luckily, we have a lot of different ways that we can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll just kind of walk through some of the different things we have and show you different ways that you can see what we're doing, different things that we are working on. And we'll start with our website. So for those of you who don't know, the town has a really packed website with all kinds of information. Our web address is pretty easy to remember. It's townofcanandaigua.org. This is our homepage. And from here, you can pretty much find out anything you want to know about the town. But since today we're talking about communication and information, I'll focus on that. So at these tabs along the top are a great place to start. We have our drop down menu here with About, and I always send people here first because here you can read our latest news posts. You can go to a page where we have videos, which will then link you to our YouTube channel, which I'll come back to that in a minute. You can also get to our newsletters. We have all of our old newsletters plus our most current issues on that page. You can also get to our town calendar, and I'll show you some of these, but I just wanted to pinpoint all the different things you can see from this page. Whenever we have an opportunity to hire a contractor or a consultant to work on something for the town, we put it on this bids and proposals page. If we have hiring opportunities, maybe seasonal jobs or a full-time position, we put it on the job opportunities page. We have a community links page, which has a variety of links from local schools and hospitals to nonprofit organizations in and around the town. We have a directory which will take you to a page that shows you names and titles of the staff members and email addresses and phone numbers for all of them. The history will take you to our town history page where you can learn more about the history of the town. We've got a great page about everything that we think that new residents might want to know. And then this last one is Get Involved, which will take you to a page that talks about different ways you can be involved in the town. So I just want to touch on the.
Sarah,
Go
while we're on
ahead.
that page for a quick second, so you just went through like almost a dozen of
Yeah.
those that are just under the about, and I know that our website literally has hundreds and hundreds, if not close to 1,000 pages. If I don't know where to go or how to find something, and I'm looking for something specific on the website, how do I do that?
Well, if you kind of have an idea of if it's a department, I like to send people to this page, government page. It is exactly what it sounds like. I'll go ahead and click on it. On this page, you'll find all of the town departments listed on the right-hand side. Sometimes if you're on a mobile device, these columns will be bumped down to one single column that will just scroll. So this may either be on the right or it may be down at the bottom if you're on a phone. So these are each of our individual town departments. Clicking on them would take you to a page that would tell you more about that department. And so, for example, if you click on the town clerk page, it takes you to our town clerk Jean Christman's page with information about her staff and the different things they do. And then we also have two columns for all of our boards and our committees and our project teams. These are all of our boards over here on the left. You can click on those pages just like I did for the town clerk page, and you can learn more about each of the boards. From their individual pages, you can click on agendas where you can view what's coming up on the next meeting and find out how to join it. I won't click on all of them because it would take too long. As Doug said, we have a lot of pages. The town also has committees and project teams that work on various different projects. Some of them are ongoing, some of them when they're like, we have a comp plan project team. That team is no longer active because we updated our comprehensive plan earlier this year. But then we have some that are continuously active, like our agricultural committee, that work on things each year throughout the year. So if you know it's maybe a government or a department, you can click on that. If you're not sure where you might find what you're looking for example, maybe you want to see what policies we might have. I like to suggest that people use our search bar. It can give you a lot of feedback, but it usually works pretty well. You can see even I use it. So if I click on a policy, on this page, this is the search page. Whatever you search for, it'll come up with different ideas. The website tries to help you find what you're looking for. If it's the word brings up a page, it'll bring you all the pages where the word policy is mentioned. So here's our page on town policies and procedures. You can click on that and see all of our current policies. These are updated every year. If we go back to the page, it'll tell you other places where that word popped up in our news or anywhere else. Sometimes the list of places where it found the word is quite long. These are old news posts from our news page. And sometimes it's short, but the search bar works pretty well. So that's always a good place to go to. While we're on the website, you've seen the government page and you've seen our about drop-down list, but we also have a couple other pages that talk about some of the different services that you can get done at the town. A lot of these are with our clerk's office, so like dog licensing or marriage licenses, or maybe you want to build something at your, or build a house or build an addition on your house. We have development office permits. We have our parks services. We can rent cabins or pavilions. And then there's another column over here for other services you might be interested in that aren't necessarily a rental or a permit. Like if you want to learn more about our transfer facility and what you can bring to throw away or recycle, if you want to hook up water and see if that's available to you where you live, things like that. We have another column called projects. I'll click on it and show you what it is. Sometimes the town is involved with larger projects. Like a few years ago, we built a brand new highway facility. During that time, we had that listed as a project we were working on. If we're working on a planning document like our comprehensive plan, that would be listed here. Things that are still we're working on or they're not finished, would be listed over here. Things we still think you might want to know about, but maybe we're finished working on them, we put in the completed project. And then we have another column over here for other resources. So maybe it's not an actual active project, but maybe you're looking for a document that that the town board has previously adopted. You could click on this. So again, there's a lot of information on the website, but usually what you're looking for, you can probably find.
So Sarah,
go ahead.
these are town of Canandaigua projects specifically that the town government is involved with. Essentially, I know sometimes we get questions about maybe there's a development that is happening and information. Where would I go to find some of that information?
Okay, yeah, right. So these are our own internal projects, but if you want to know, right, like Doug mentioned, maybe there's a new housing development going up near your neighborhood and you want to learn more about it, I would probably suggest that you go to one of our boards, since those projects always have to come through a board before they're approved, especially the larger ones. I mean, if you're building a new deck, that doesn't always necessarily have to go through a board, but if someone's building 30 houses, that would. I would recommend checking out the planning board, and they have their upcoming meetings listed on their agendas and resolutions page. And you can take a look and see what's going to be on the next agenda. So there's a meeting coming up on December 14th. If we click on this, it would open the agenda for project or meetings that are really close or that happened just recently. You can even see the different projects that are listed on that agenda and learn more about them. So we try to make sure that information is available to you. And I should say this too, if you can't figure it out or you just want to know and the website maybe is too intimidating or you can't find it, you can always give us a call too. And you can call our general phone number, which is 585-394-1120. And no matter what you need to know, that's always a good starting point. And when we answer the phone, we'll make sure you get to the person you want to talk to.
Awesome. I know you want to talk about the newsletter, I want you to talk about the newsletter too, because that's something that you have taken on for us. Actually, would you go to the newsletter archive page for a second? Because I want to point something out. So
these tabs at the top don't ever go away, no matter which page you're on our website. You can always get to these, so you don't have to go back to the home page to go to a different page. So like I showed you in the beginning, this drop down over here under About has all kinds of stuff, and I'll click on our newsletter page. So we've had a monthly newsletter since January of 2018. Before that, we had quarterly newsletters, but all of those newsletters are available on our website.
I was looking this morning actually at that original newsletter when now Senator Helming was the town supervisor. It was a 2-page newsletter, and you can open it up right there, but very, very basic, and or 4-page, you can see there are 4 pages in total because it had the 4th of July stuff in it. Mm-hmm. Very, very basic. And Sarah, really under your leadership, you have really enhanced that newsletter so that we're sharing so much more information with our town residents versus what we originally did. And I know it's many more pages. You want to just talk about that process and how that's evolved over time and how that works and how that comes about and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Digital newsletters are great. It allows us to make longer newsletters that people can scroll through without having to download something large or print something out. We found that printing a newsletter can be very expensive when we want to share it with all of the town. So digital has been really great. We've gone through some different iterations, but I'll open up our most recent newsletter, which came out last week. We use something called MailChimp to send our newsletters. It's a great online software, and we can reach a lot more people. If you don't already get the newsletter, I should hop back to the website just quickly to show you. From our website, at the bottom of every page is an orange reddish bar that says, "Be informed. Click here to receive town news, information, and updates via email." That's our MailChimp mail server, for lack of a better phrase. If you sign up to receive those, you get information like our newsletter, but also information that can be a little more urgent, like if there's a water main break and we have to close a road, or you're not going to have water service, or if we're going to have a winter storm and it may affect roads or something more serious, we put those things on there too. And then also general information like when the next town board meeting is. So we try not to send too many emails, but we make it worth your while. So if you sign up for those once a month, you'll get a newsletter that'll look something like this. Content in the newsletters vary, but we always kind of have a table of contents towards the top, and you can just see that December was very busy. There were a lot of information. Most of our departments submit something every month, and they put in there whatever they think is important, whatever they think you might want to know. And then we have stories as well. Our town historian often will submit an article. Last month, he talked about Academy Cemetery. Our Environmental Conservation Board also likes to submit stuff almost every month, and they talk about various natural resources related articles. The article in this month's issue was having to do with a new invasive species that we've found, which isn't always good news, but still important to know. We also will feature some projects if we have anything new coming up. There was a brand new development that just broke ground in the uptown area of town, and we shared that story in this latest issue. And then also our elected officials will occasionally share information. The town supervisor or other electeds occasionally will have an article that they think you might want to know about. And then of course our town manager has a monthly article that varies with the season. So it's full of information. I won't scroll through the whole thing, but I will come down a little bit just so you can kind of see. Every issue always has this column with general information about the town hall and how to get a hold of our key officials and staff. We try to list any holidays that are coming up and how that might affect town hall hours. We have all of our closures on here. And then you get into the bulk of the newsletter with the articles. So
I noticed there was one on there called Gateway Signage.
that one is at the bottom.
I noticed that also. Make you scroll through it a second. So
Sure. So you can see some of these newsletters get kind of long, but again, it's digital. You can scroll, you can ignore what you don't want to read, although we hope you read the whole thing. And you can scroll through to whatever you're interested in. We like to include a lot of pictures in the newsletter too. We know people like pictures. And yes, as Doug mentioned, the town board recently approved some new signage that's going to go up around town. Hopefully in the next year, we'll have them all, or at least some of them in the ground. A company called Signage, which is actually in the village of Perry, I believe, makes some beautiful municipal signs. You've probably seen them. They make them for a lot of our local municipalities, colleges, businesses as well. And they've designed this sign. There's a proof behind it, but you can still see what it's going to look like. And I have to brag about them a little bit. This topography, this skyline, if you will, is taken from an actual photo of Canandaigua Lake looking south from Ononda Park. So it's not just a generic hills and lake, it's really our lake view that we get from the town. So pretty cool stuff.
it's very cool. Thank you.
So we also include flyers at the end of our newsletter that may have interesting information. These two are from our Environmental Conservation Board. We also just have general flyers information. There's information about smoke detectors from the American Red Cross, services from the county, ways that you can sign up to get your water billing electronically, things like that. So that's our newsletter. Other
Packed
ways
full of information.
Yeah, packed full of information, that's for sure. And we sometimes get requests from residents. Can you include an article about this or that? Or I have a question about that. It would be nice to see that in the newsletter, and we'll do it. We're always looking for ideas.
I think the newsletter is the thing that I see the most positive comments of every service that we do. We get so many positive comments from the residents of the town of Canandaigua who maybe they're in Florida for the winter and just want to connect and keep up to date, or maybe they're here in Canandaigua or wherever the case, but just staying up to date with what's going on. We get a lot of communication from residents. They're very appreciative of the newsletter.
And some people don't like getting things in their email address or in their inbox. And so we also share the newsletter, of course, on the website, but we also share it on our Facebook page. So I'll go ahead and click our Facebook page to kind of see what we show on there. But before I do that, I see that you had a question, Mark.
Yeah, just a quick one. I do take advantage of a lot of these things, so thanks for doing them. Do they ever time out? So when you subscribe to them, does some of it time out? Because it seems like I have to go in and out sometimes and resubscribe.
To the newsletter? I'm not sure. We occasionally have had issues where emails will bounce and then MailChimp will stop sending it. But
Does that mean it hit the spam filter or something for some reason?
I'm not sure how it works. I don't understand all the logarithms and controls behind it, but it does happen occasionally. It's happened with my own email address, but the last time I subscribed with my own personal email was a couple years ago, and I'm still getting the newsletters every month. But I've also, from my own personal Gmail account, I save the town email address as a contact, and then it doesn't go to my spam anymore. So,
got it. Thanks.
And
yeah,
Sarah, the newsletter usually comes out right around the first of each month, right? So if
we try.
if you don't
It's not
see
always
right.
Yeah, it's not always on the first. And if the first falls on a weekend, occasionally we'll send it out at the end, like the 30th or the 31st of the month previously, or sometimes it comes out on the second or the third. There's a lot of information to put together. So sometimes timing isn't exact. But excuse me. But usually around the beginning of the month. So when we send the newsletter, we also will stick it on our Facebook page. But we share all kinds of information on our Facebook page.
Photo looks very similar to the sign. Is that the photo that the sign was based on? Catch you in the middle of take a second there, Sarah. The Facebook page is Sarah's actually the one who does the overwhelming majority of the updates and everything for us also on the Facebook page, and really works through a lot of the communication for us. And she also is a quasi photographer for us, goes out on the boat and actually goes out on her boat. Let me be clear, we don't have a boat. And take some photos that we use on different things, which there's a beautiful photo on our website of Ononda Park from the lake that Sarah has also taken. So
yeah, sorry, excuse me.
that's
I got a tickle. Yeah, this picture's from our boat too. So I just like sharing stuff with people about the town. I get excited. And so I think the job of sharing information with the residents fell to me because I started doing it. But yeah, so the Facebook page is almost a mirror of our MailChimp account that goes out through email, because we know not everybody wants to get emails. So anything we send on MailChimp, we also put on the Facebook page. We also put events on there, like today's Citizens Academy is posted as an event. Excuse me, I may have to mute again.
That's okay.
And public notices, and basically all the same things that we think that residents need to know, we put on here.
If you need to take a quick second there, Sarah. So the town clerk's office actually is responsible for our official communication, like for instance, press releases relative to notifications of a local law or public hearings and those types of things. So some of the stuff you see, like for instance, I'm looking at that second post there. It says, please take notice, the town clerk's office will not have extended hours. The town clerk's office actually, it's a department, but it's headed by an elected official. It actually has a kind of a separate quasi-jurisdictional subset. And so it does press releases and has very specific rules that are required by state law. And so occasionally we do see press releases and those types of things from the town clerk's office that may be structured in the legalese language that's required versus, for instance, a more what I would say friendly tone that Sarah is structuring something. So sometimes you actually get two notices, but it's because of the legal side of it as well as the sharing of information side of it that we're required to do. So
Yeah, this is a good example right here on our page. We have a public notice that we needed to send out due to some change in hours we had. And then a reminder that we sent the newsletter out last week. So, so yeah, like Doug said, sometimes we send a lot of different stuff. I should also mention, and I think this goes without saying, but I want to say it, is that communication with the public on behalf of the town is a team effort. There's a lot of us that share information. Thank you. And I don't make the newsletter on my own. I don't, I have a lot of help with everybody in the departments writing all the wonderful articles, and they just give it to me and I package it up together and send it out.
So, Sarah, while you're here on the Facebook page, we have a couple of other Facebook pages that people may not be aware of. Do you want to touch on those while we're talking about that?
Sure. This is our main page. This is the Town of Canandaigua Facebook page. If you search Facebook for Town of Canandaigua, this is the one that would pop up. But as many of you know, we have some wonderful parks, and they each have their own Facebook pages too. I'm on here as our own admin, so this might look a little different to everybody else. But as you can see over here, in addition to the Town of Canandaigua Facebook page, we have 3 others currently. We have a page that's specifically for Ononda Park. We have a page for Outhouse Park, and we have a page for our newest park, and the one we've been most excited about lately, which is the inclusive playground called Motion Junction, which is directly across from Outhouse Park in what we have dubbed Outhouse Park West. So we are working on getting Facebook pages for all of our parks, but these are the ones we have right now. If we have an event that's going to take place at one of the parks, like this summer, we had a music event at Outhouse. We created an event on that on our Facebook page for Outhouse, and we like to share things back and forth on those pages too. So those are good places to go if you want to see pictures of the parks. We have residents and community members sometimes will post pictures of their kids playing at a playground or something that they enjoyed at Ononda Park, and it'll end up on these pages because they check in or tag the park. So that's always really fun for us to see people having fun at the parks.
Just a quick little backstory on that. It was very interesting. We actually did not create those park Facebook pages at first. We just had the Town of Canandaigua Facebook page. And so many people were checking into both Ononda Park and Richard P. Outhouse Memorial Park that Facebook actually created the page, and then we had to work with Facebook to get control of the page, interestingly enough. And people continue to do that, and the audience is very different for the Town of Canandaigua page versus the Outhouse page, Outhouse Memorial Park page, versus, like, for instance, the Ononda Park page. And I think it's primarily based on the people's use of the parks and their interaction with the parks, where they're liking and following that particular page because they like that park. I know that Facebook has now created one for Miller Park, one of our other parks that we're trying to get control of now, just from the number of people that have checked in at Miller Park. So it's very interesting. It's very much driven by the residents and the users of the park, because obviously they're not all residents. We see people on Ononda Park and Outhouse Park that may live in Rochester, or they may live somewhere else, but they've checked in, they're following that park page, and then we're sharing information about what's happening in that park. I don't know if the photos have been posted, like, for instance, but there's been a lot of talk on the Outhouse, Richard P. Outhouse Memorial Park page about the new pirate ship that is being constructed at Richard Outhouse Memorial Park. And there's the diagram of it, or the design of it, the rendering.
As soon as we have photos, I think we are planning on posting something here on the park, especially when the playground is ready for kids to play on it. Sorry, not the playground, the equipment, the new equipment. So yeah, our parks coordinator, Lindsay Frary, tries to keep these pages up to date with anything new that's happening at the parks. So and we try to link them back and forth too. So if we share something on one page, we'll try and come back and share it on this page. So Facebook is a great way to stay up to date with us if you don't want to get emails, or if you just want to see it from a different way. But back when we first started talking a little while ago, I mentioned the YouTube channel. So this meeting is being recorded right now. And so once that's finished, we will upload it to our own YouTube channel. And I will go ahead and click on that right now. And this is what it looks like when you find the Town of Canandaigua on YouTube. You'll know you found the right page because our banner's at the top. And we have recorded meetings for well over a year now. Not every single meeting is recorded because, of course, occasionally there's a glitch or something goes wrong and it's not recorded. But the vast majority of them are our town board meetings, meetings like this one that are a little more informal, planning board meetings. They all get recorded and then they come here. There's playlists. If you want to just look at one particular thing, like maybe you want to see only the agriculture committee videos. We have a playlist for that. Or maybe you just want to look at town board meetings. We have a playlist for that. And if you scroll through this page, you'll see all of our playlists. Like here's the town board, there's the zoning board. We have a planning and public works committee. And then these right here will show you how many videos from those meetings are uploaded. So you can see that there's 24 town board meetings that you could watch when you've got nothing else to do, right? But it's also a great way because some people say, well, I really wanted to go to that town board meeting last month, but I couldn't. Well, now you can watch it. So you can see what they talked about, listen to the resolutions that were passed and all kinds of stuff.
I've also heard from residents that they go back and rewatch it when somebody tells them about something that was discussed, and then they want to hear it in the context of whatever it was. So the YouTube channel is really new with the onset of COVID, with the recordings and going to Zoom and that. But you mentioned the town board meets once a month. And you mentioned the 24 meetings. So my assumption here is that's pretty much all of 2020 and 2021, really, once, for the most part, once we really started to get into the COVID situation in early 2020.
Right. And you can get to YouTube just by searching organically from Google, but on our website, we also have many, many places where we link to it from each of the board's pages, especially on their agenda pages. There's a link to come to YouTube on the town board page. Anywhere we think that someone might see or want a video, we've got a link to come to YouTube because we want people to use it. This is, I mean, you just can't come to all the meetings, but you might want to know what happened at the last one. And so we've tried to keep this up to date. There is a little bit of a delay. They aren't posted the very next day, but usually within about a week, the meetings are up on there. Let's see, we talked about the newsletter. We talked about Facebook and our videos. I'm wondering if I've forgotten anything. Just general communication. Let me go back to our website. I'm going to scroll back up. I'm going to come back to this about, and I'm going to click on directory. If you want to reach someone at the town, this is a public page. You can find most of the staff and pretty much all the staff in town hall. And if you have a question and you know who you want to talk to, but you don't know what their number is or what their email address is, you can come here and look at it. Like I said earlier, calling the general town phone number, which is this one right here, will get you to us and we can get you to the right person if you don't know who you need to talk to. But some people don't know that we have this on our website. So it's a great way to quickly find someone who works at the town and get a hold of them. So we have all this great stuff going on, and sometimes people want to know how they can be involved in that and participate. We have a brand new page on the website we just created, and it's down here called Get Involved. There's a couple other places you can get to it. From the government page, the page that lists all of our boards and committees and departments, there's a link to get to this new page. And then also here on the drop down list, and I'll click on it now.
Actually, Sarah, I haven't told you, but I just created a link last night from the homepage.
Oh, good.
If you want to go back to it real quick, I'll show you
Sure.
how to get it. It's on the left-hand side, you see it says obtain a license or pay a bill or get involved.
Oh,
and
perfect.
then there's a drop down and then get involved with my town.
So that'll take us to the same page.
Yep.
So, because we sometimes have people say, well, I don't know, I just want to be more involved. What can I do? What can I participate in? What is it that you need from us, from residents, which is something we love to hear. So we've come up with a list. You can come to a meeting, you can watch a meeting, you can volunteer with us. We have boards and committees which are appointed by the town board, but we also have volunteer project teams, which are a little less formal, but just as important. For example, that sign we looked at a little while ago, that came out of a volunteer project team. The town board decided, basically kind of in line with our comprehensive plan for the last almost 20 years, improving signage, welcoming people to the town has been on the list of things to do, and it's slowly made its way to the top. A lot of our surrounding municipalities have welcome signage and we didn't yet. So the town board said, yes, that's important. Let's do that. Go ahead and create a project team. So we sent out a notice. We said, hey, we want to do this. Who wants to help us? And we got a great group of people together who, in a fairly short amount of time, they initially tried to get started during 2020, but obviously we had some things that derailed plans. So they got back together in the spring of 2021. And by October, they had a design, found a company, and the town board said, go ahead. So that's an example of one of our volunteer groups that really is getting a lot of good work done. And those groups, we accept volunteers kind of on an ongoing basis. Again, with a board or a committee, we accept new members when there's a vacancy, but it doesn't mean you can't show up to a meeting and just watch it. All of our meetings are open to the public, whether you want to join via Zoom or just come when we have a meeting in person and just listen, ask questions. So you can be involved without being a member also. You can also be involved by coming to work with us. I mentioned at the beginning that we have a job opportunities page. I have that linked here on this page too. Anytime we have any paid position, be it seasonal, full-time, part-time, or even a board position, because some of them receive stipends, we will post it here on our job opportunities page. So we have a lot of ways you can be more involved, whether you just want to gather information or help us make a difference. But we wanted to share this new page with you.
Sarah, this is all fantastic information about communication. You know, I mentioned earlier, the comment that I hear the most is residents of our community appreciative of the newsletter and all of the great information in that. That's by far and away the biggest response that I hear relative to our communication. I also hear two other things. I hear from other municipalities and residents of other municipalities saying that they wish that their municipality communicated more like this. And then I also hear from residents of our town who say that they wish they had more information or that they don't know what's happening. And when I hear that, I think for me, based on all this information that you just shared, knowing that that's all there, they probably just don't know how to access all this information that's there. And so that's why we continue to do things like this and then do the newsletter and those types of things to keep trying to help push information out. But, you know, you've mentioned it a couple of times here, and it's right on the bottom of this page. It's every single page of the website. Be informed, the banner right at the very bottom there. Be informed, click here. That would be what I would recommend as the number one thing to do if you want to stay connected, involved. Also, like our Facebook page is, whether it's one of the parks or the Town of Canandaigua's Facebook page, so that that'll pop up in your Facebook news feed. But this banner right here, clicking on this and signing up for these updates, you'll get links to a lot of the information will come directly to your inbox and even reminders. And then you might want to dig into it more by going to the website and looking. But that is a great, and that's always what I recommend for everybody to do, is to sign up for those updates, because you'll get those will come directly to your inbox.
Yeah. You know, not everybody knows to go to the website to get that. So, you know, people come in and interact with us every day at the town hall, and we have a list, a sheet of paper on the town clerk's counter up front that is basically the same thing as clicking this button. It's a way for someone to put their email address down and their name, and I can manually enter them into the list to receive emails. So we do have non-digital ways to sign up for the news. But if you click on this page, like Doug said, it's on every single page on our website. It takes you to a form and you just fill it out, put your email address and your name, and you can hit submit. If you want to only receive certain things, you can, but I usually just tell people just to sign up, and that way you get everything. Like I said, we try not to send too many things each week. Sometimes you'll get one thing, sometimes you might get 2 or 3 in a week, just depending on what we have that we need to share. We might have a public notice, a meeting agenda, or, the newsletter. So yeah,
And
I
I
would
know,
agree. This is probably the most important thing to do if you want to get more information from the town.
and I know that Sarah, you do a great job in trying to coordinate it so that we're not bombarding people's
We
inboxes
try.
and managing that and everything. So we try to do that sparingly. But Sarah, you're doing a fantastic job with the communication piece and really sharing that information. I can't thank you enough for everything that you do and putting this all together and the coordination of all of this and really the engagement and the follow up with all of those boards and committees. Within the project teams, we have over 100 residents that are volunteering in some capacity with us in some of the different boards and project teams and committees. Some people are super passionate and excited about trees, like you mentioned, the tree team. And
Yeah.
we've got some that are more interested in drainage, and we've got some that are more interested in some of the environmental issues, and we have some more interested in parks. And so we can pretty much find a place for anybody to be involved. We want to know that you're interested in being involved and then what you're passionate about and what you would like to be. And then we'll help you find a spot where I'm sure you would really enjoy volunteering and working with our teams. So
I don't think we've ever turned away anyone who wanted to help.
that's right. Even I know that we've had some city residents and some other municipality residents that have wanted to get involved with us and engaged with us, and we've always welcomed that also. So that's great. So thank you, Sarah. Mark, I'm gonna just do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask or anything here before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think so this is all great. I actually do use a lot of it. So thanks for continuing to do that and push it out. It is helpful. I think if there's one area that I would think that we might be able to offer a little bit of improvement, and Doug, I know I've asked you this before too. When we get into the specifics of activity within the town, so not so much the information going out about general information, but specifics around projects and different ordinances and things along those lines, I still find communication to be just a little bit hard. And maybe it's what I'm asking for. I would love to find a way that you can have two-way information so that there can be a dialogue as opposed to everybody talking at each other. So when we go to a planning board meeting, when you go to a town board meeting, there's plenty of opportunities to have public comment. It's just hard to have a dialogue. And I think the different board members and things, they do a reasonable job reacting, but everybody's always a little bit afraid of that public portal too, I think. I mean, I'm projecting here. So if we could, and I'm not exactly sure the exact right way to do it, but if there were a way to start a dialogue where you can really have a dialogue instead of talk at each other, I think that would be amazing, because I do see higher levels of participation because of the activity that comes out. And I think that's awesome. And we have to somehow keep you efficient too. So just a recommendation of trying to find a way to do that, because otherwise I bug Doug all the time and hit him with questions. And
no, that's okay. Sarah, can you go to back to the policies for a quick second? Just I
Sure.
want so Mark, I understand exactly what you're saying, and we've talked a little bit about this, but you're talking about actually in the meetings and the dialogue back and forth. If you wanted to be able to ask a question and get an answer and have kind of like a conversation with the elected official, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so specifically for the town board, this is the town board enacts policies and procedures for a whole variety of different things, including the governance of their actual meetings. And they do this annually at their organizational meeting. And there's this one right here called Town Board Rules of Procedure. And Sarah, if you can just click on that for me for a second. This is the policy where the board would need to make some changes to enable that and foster that communication, whether it's scheduling a workshop or whether it's actually changing their actual rules of procedure relative to the way that the meetings are run. If you actually scroll down just a little bit more, Sarah, there's a thing called privilege of the floor and permission to, right here, permission for the public to speak before the board. Anyone shall have the right to address the board during privilege of the floor. Upon a request, a member of the audience may address the town board on matter of concern. The time allotted for addressing the board shall be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair grants prior, blah, 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 blah. And you can see the details there. So Mark, what you're talking about is a dialogue back and forth. This policy doesn't currently perhaps
For that.
enable that.
Yeah.
And so we need, it would be a matter of needing the board to amend this policy, or at least, if there's a topic that warrants deeper conversation, have a maybe a workshop or something like that. But I would also add, we have our town board committees, and there is very little that comes to a town board meeting, a town board agenda, that has not gone through one of the committees, whether it's a finance committee or ordinance committee or planning public works committee. And that's where a lot of those dialogues and discussions take place in a more informal type manner. Those are also done by Zoom, and there's dialogue, whether hybrid, I should say, not just by Zoom, because it's either in person and or by Zoom. And those, Sarah's showing there all of those committees and everything right there, as well as the contacts and stuff. So, but what you're talking about, I think specifically, is when it gets to the deliberation and the vote and really the making a decision during those town board meetings. It's a presentation each way, right?
Yeah, and that's right. And they do a great job. Canandaigua, better than most, doesn't hit you with a foil every time you ask them for information and everything else. So awesome for that. The communication is really open. It's just, and there's so many different, you guys have so much going on. There's so many different committees and boards and everything that happen. It's just hard to, if you want to participate, you can. It's just not quite as fluid as I would like. So we're all used to texting now, right? So I send out a text, I get instant gratification because somebody responds to that. I know it's not quite that, but it would be great if it just some mechanism to do it. And I know in many cases the laws also prevent that. So you can't have more than 2 board members having the same conversation outside of a formal meeting. And it's, maybe I just talk too much, Doug. I don't know.
No. They're great questions. And I'm sure a lot of other people have the same questions. They're fantastic. And, we're continuously looking at new opportunities for new efficiencies, right? And there's some software I've been kind of doing some preliminary exploring, even like through some apps on your phone, where you could make a comment and kind of be sharing the information back and forth, and everybody's seeing it, and those types of things that are geared specifically for municipalities. There's any number of different things. I think that's going to be a continual evolving thing as we continue to explore new efficiencies and opportunities, but the technology is certainly there. And I feel like that's one of the things that government traditionally, I think, was behind business in terms of technology for quite a long period of time. But I feel like this last year and a half, and we were actually limited by law from doing a lot of technological stuff. But I think this last year and a half with COVID, it really helped to advance the technology government piece and enabled additional ways for us to kind of communicate. And I hope that continues.
Well, keep up the great work, and thanks for doing these.
Absolutely.
One more thing, just to jump in real quick, Mark, and this may not be the answer you're looking for, but and other people may not know this. If you want to directly ask a town board member a question, we have a page that's dedicated to the board officials, and we have them each listed individually along the side. Or again, if you're on a phone, sometimes this column will get bumped to the bottom, but on this page, you can email an individual board member. If you want to send them all an email, you can click it here, or you can copy their email addresses into one. We try and make it so that they're accessible. And I know a lot of people will just call them right up. You can call the town hall phone number and you can leave a message, or you can leave a message with one of us and we'll get a hold of them. So they are available. I know you're probably talking about during a meeting, but when it's not a meeting, there's always a way to talk to a board member if you want
And,
to.
and they're actually, I have to commend them because they're all pretty great for the most part at responding, and they're pretty quick on it. I think when you look at it, it gets into the different, the next level down. You'll notice that many of them, not everybody has that direct email. So I think it's using the planning board as an example. I think when you go in there, it tells you who they are, tells you where they
Right.
live, but it doesn't
You-
give you an easy way to contact them. It says come to the meeting type of thing.
No, you can email the board through our, depending on what board it is, the planning board, for example, you can send an email to our town planner or anyone in the development office if you
That's
have
the
a
best way to
question
get back
for
to them.
them.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Same, same with the zoning board. You can email them through the planning office, or you can just walk into town hall and ask the questions too. So
Awesome.
we'll find a way to give you an answer.
All great questions, though. Fantastic questions. And we're always looking for ways to improve. And,
Mhm.
even the way to contact the planning board members and stuff, that's a great question mark. And I think it's something that we need to continue to look at if there's better ways to doing that and everything. So, all right. So it's been just about an hour. We try to keep these right to an hour. Sarah, thank you so much for going through all of this with us today and
Welcome.
for all of your work on this. You do a great job in pushing this information out and compiling it and really, and then I have to tell you, behind the scenes, there's all the reminders from Sarah. Doug, I need your newsletter article. Doug, I need your newsletter article. Doug, I need your newsletter article. So, and all of those type things and coordinating that for everybody. So Sarah, thank you so much for doing all of that and bringing that together
Welcome.
for us.
I enjoy it. I really do.
So, all right, Mark, excuse me, Mark, thanks for joining us today, and I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.